Before SUVs took over and touchscreens ruled the dashboard, the British family car had a very different identity. Angular hatchbacks, honest saloons, the rise of fuel injection and front-wheel drive. Today, we're counting down the 10 best British family cars from the 1980s, the models that fought for dominance in a decade, defined by Ford versus Vauxhall rivalry and bold design risks. Hit subscribe if you love proper old-school motoring. Because at number 10, we begin with a car that already felt like a relic the day the decade began. Number 10, Ford Escort Mk3. Unveiled in 1980 under the internal codename Erica, the Escort Mk3 was Ford's second front-wheel drive model after the 1976 Fiesta. It was a complete redesign. Hatchback layout, angular styling, efficient packaging. By 1982, it had overtaken the Cortina to become Britain's best-selling car, and it would remain the UK's top seller throughout the decade. The range was vast. 3- and 5-door hatchbacks, estates, vans, cabriolets, plus XR3 and XR3, IHOT hatches that defined aspirational 80s motoring. Affordable base models served young families, while gear trims added comfort touches. From suburban school runs to motorway commutes, the Escort M3 became the backbone of British family life in the 1980s. Don't forget to share, and subscribe to Nostalgia Rides for more legendary cars. Number 9, Vauxhall Cavalier M2 launched in 1981. The Mk2 Cavalier arrived just as the Ford Cortina bowed out. Developed through GM's Opel Vauxhall partnership, it featured McPherson's struck front suspension and efficient alloy-headed OC engines. Engine options ranged from a 1.3L 75 brake horsepower unit to a 1.66 producing 90 brake horsepower. Later joined in 1983 by a 1.8L fuel-injected 115 brake horsepower variant in GLSI and SDRI trims. It was modern, economical, and ideal as a company car. In 1985, it became the second best-selling car in the UK, with 134,335 sold that year alone, with more than 87,000 M2 examples produced before 1988. It reversed Vauxhall's fortunes and cemented the Ford versus Vauxhall rivalry for a generation. Number 8, Ford Sierra. When the Sierra replaced the Cortina in September 1982, the reaction was shock. The so-called jelly-mould shape ditched sharp edges for aerodynamics. Many buyers hesitated. Some resisted outright. Yet beneath the controversial styling was a spacious, well-packaged family car with improved fuel efficiency thanks to its slippery profile. Rear-wheel drive remained pleasing traditionalists, while interior comfort moved the game forward. Motorsport success transformed perception. The Sierra RS Cosworth, launched in 1986, became an icon. Over time, families across Manchester, Birmingham, and Glasgow embraced it. By the end of the decade, it stood as one of Britain's defining 80s cars. Number 7, Rover 200. Introduced in 1984 as the SD3 series, the Rover 200 was developed in collaboration with Honda, sharing much with the Honda Ballard. At a time when British buyers were increasingly open to foreign engineering, this partnership felt timely. Build quality improved noticeably. Panel gaps tightened. Reliability perceptions shifted. The 1.3 and 1.66L engines offered smooth performance and sensible economy. Inside, materials felt a cut above the Maestro, appealing to families wanting refinement without stepping into BMW or Audi territory. It wasn't the biggest car in its class, but it felt solid, modern, and reassuring. In mid-1980s, Britain, that counted enormously. Number 6, Austin Maestro. Launched in March 1983, the Maestro marked a decisive break from old British Leyland habits. No more ADU codes, no more hydrogas. Instead, transverse engine, front-wheel drive, steel springs, McPherson's struts up front, and a torsion beam rear axle. Conventional, yes, but intelligently so. Early 1.3 LA Plus engines delivered impressive economy for the time, crucial during a decade, increasingly conscious of fuel costs and emissions. The cabin was airy with more interior space than an Escort or first-generation Golf. MG clears throat. Badged 1600 versions with twin Weber carburetors added genuine excitement. By 1985, the 2.0 L-Oer pushed it firmly into Hothitch territory. It was practical, spacious, and finally competitive. Number 5, Vauxhall Astra Mark I. arriving in the UK at the turn of the decade. The Astra Mark I signaled a decisive move toward front-wheel drive efficiency. Built at Allegro, it shared engineering roots with Opel, but was tailored for British buyers. Lightweight construction and responsive steering made it feel agile compared with older rear-drive rivals. The hatchback layout offered genuine flexibility, and the estate variant broadened its appeal. Later performance models, including the GTE, proved that practicality and excitement could coexist. For many families trading up from Minis or older Escorts, the Astra felt modern, economical, and forward-looking. It captured the spirit of early 8 South motoring perfectly. Number 4. Austin Montego. Introduced in April 1984, the Montego was British Leyland's attempt to modernize the midsize saloon. It replaced the Morris and aimed squarely at the fleet market dominated by Ford and Vauxhall. The design was sharp and contemporary. Inside, higher trims featured digital dashboards and voice synthesis systems, very much in keeping with the tech-obsessed 80s mood. The estate version offered serious cargo capacity, while turbocharged MG variants injected performance credibility. It was roomy, comfortable, and more refined than its predecessors. For families wanting space without German pricing, the Montego made a compelling case. Number 3. Talbot Horizon. The Talbot Horizon bridged corporate upheaval and changing tastes. Originally developed under Chrysler Europe and later absorbed into PSA, was built in the UK during a turbulent industrial period. What it offered was simplicity, front-wheel drive, hatchback versatility, sensible engine options. It wasn't flashy, but it was spacious for its class and easy to live with. The upright seating position and wide-opening tailgate made it practical for young families navigating tight urban streets. While it never dominated headlines, it represented the growing shift towards European-style hatchbacks that would define the decade. Number 2. Austin Allegro. By 1980, the Allegro was already a product of another decade, but it remained a familiar sight on British roads. Introduced in 1973 and produced until 1982, it carried over into the early 80s while the industry transitioned. Hydraulic suspension gave it a surprisingly supple ride. The transverse engine layout inherited from earlier BMC designs still made efficient use of space. Families appreciated its compact footprint and manageable running costs. Even if styling and build quality had drawn criticism, it may never have shaken off its reputation. But in driveways across Birmingham and Leeds, it quietly did the job. Number 1. Morris Ital. Launched in 1980, the Ital was effectively a heavily revised Morris Marina, and it felt like it. Rear-wheel drive, conventional engineering, familiar A-series engines in an era rapidly embracing front-wheel drive and aerodynamic shapes. The Ital represented the final chapter of 1970s thinking. Yet for many British families, it was dependable and honest. Transport. The estate version offered a genuinely useful boot, ideal for seaside trips to Blackpool or school runs in suburban Coventry. It wasn't glamorous nor particularly modern, but it was affordable and easy to service. In a time of economic caution, that counted for a lot. The 1980s reshaped the British family car forever. From rear-wheel drive holdovers to aerodynamic pioneers and front-wheel drive revolutionaries that defined everyday life across the UK. Click here to watch our next deep dive into classic British motoring history. If you enjoyed this countdown, like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which 80s family car you remember most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.